In this video, I'm going to talk about the biggest fat loss mistakes I see people make when trying to get lean and get to that next level physique. My name's Adam Bonnell. I'm an online fat loss professional, and I work with men around the world, getting them to that next level physique using metabolic priming. So if you want to learn a little bit more about metabolic priming, there's going to be an in-depth video pinned on my YouTube channel to go ahead and check that out. But we've worked with men across the world, and I want to actually explain the biggest fat loss mistakes I see people make. So the purpose of this entire channel is to help you progress in your fitness journey and to help you get lean. So make sure to comment and subscribe to this video. But I want to explain the biggest fat loss mistakes that I see people make so you can get to that next level physique. So right off the bat, not knowing their macronutrients and kind of guessing what your macronutrients should be. So when you talk about calories and macronutrients, calories affect your weight, macronutrients affect exactly how you look. So most of the people that come to us, they want that certain look. They want that next level look. And with tracking macronutrients like protein, carbs, and fats, getting that look is where it matters. So knowing exactly what you need to be eating protein, carbs, fats wise is where I see a lot of people go wrong. Because if you're currently tracking but you don't have a correct goal, it doesn't really mean anything and it doesn't really matter. So you need to know exactly how to track your macronutrients. So I have a full video on exactly how you should track your macronutrients, exactly what your starting macronutrients should be, and I'm going to go ahead and pin it down below for you guys so you guys can go ahead and watch that and know exactly where to be starting at. So with macronutrients in general, people also, with their calories, macronutrients, or whatever it may be, intake of food, they tend to go very low in calories, right? And so what you don't understand about the human body is that when you start to go very low in calories, there's a certain thing that happens and your body starts to adapt, which means that over time, your body starts to burn less calories when you start to eat less calories. It's as a survival mechanism of the human body that has, occurred over ages and ages and ages. And with that being said, like when you start to eat lower amounts of calories, your metabolism starts to lower. So people who get stuck under 2,000 calories and they wonder why, one, they're not losing weight or they're not breaking that next fat loss plateau. One, it's a lot of inflammation and, just fatigue that's on the body, and the body starts to push back. Because what you don't understand is that the body is an organism 10 times smarter than me or you ever will be. And if you don't treat it as such, it will start to fight back. So not actually knowing, what the body needs. And the biggest thing I see people do is they crash their calories, they get super low in calories, they do a lot of cardio, and they just kind of start spinning their wheels. And so there's a certain statistic in the scientific world of, nutrition that says that, 30% of people that lose 10 plus pounds actually keep it off, right? And even a shorter amount of those people keep it off after 3 years, right? So America doesn't have a weight loss problem. America has a fat loss problem, and more specifically, keeping fat off problem, right? And the problem is that a lot of people go out and search for this information, and there's so much information online about what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing, and these online apps that people go to kind of track their calories and find out where their starting macronutrients should be aren't relatively accurate because they don't know exactly who you are, what you do, how tall you are, what you weigh, and a bunch of other different factors that actually do matter when it comes to actually tracking food. And then also the correct guidance with even personal trainers nowadays that people see once a day, an hour a day, a few times a week, that they don't actually get the correct guidance and they don't actually absorb the correct knowledge on what you need to be eating protein, carbs, and fats. So with our clients, we get 24/7 access to them, and they're allowed to ask questions. We provide expert level guidance, and week by week we actually change their macronutrients because if you aren't changing your macronutrients, and if your trainer hasn't changed your macronutrients in a significant amount of time and you've hit a plateau, well, that might be why. Because if you're eating the same amount of macronutrients that had lost you the initial 20, 30, 40 pounds, obviously there needs to be some sort of update. So with that being said, the biggest thing I see is not exactly knowing or having the exact clarity of how much to eat, what to put in your mouth, what kinds of food to eat, what time to eat, and all of those questions, are questions that do matter specific to you, right? Specific to the person in general. We work with men around the world who are managers, business owners, CEOs, executives on getting them to that next level physique, but also sustaining it long term. And there's a certain set of knowledge on what you need to eat that's going to help you get you there. Next, another big thing is that not knowing exactly how to track macronutrients and not how to actually track macronutrients correctly, right? Because when you are using your apps to track your food and you're weighing your food on a scale, one, you have to be able to know exactly how to track that, because there is a difference between, for instance, cooked rice and non-cooked rice, right? And if you're not correlating those correctly, and you're not weighing the exact same, eating the exact same as you're tracking it, there can be a significant difference. We've had a couple guys in our program that we catch very early on that aren't actually tracking the correct amount of food when it comes to, putting it in your MyFitnessPal, putting it on a scale, and putting it on your plate, and that can make a huge difference in the amount of carbohydrates, protein, or fats that you eat. Particularly, a lot of things that we see is that when people weigh white rice, they don't put it in their MyFitnessPal as white rice cooked. Or same thing with beef and with chicken, or with any type of meat in the certain fat percentage. Because with beef, there's always going to be a certain fat percentage with 80-20, 90-10, 93-7, or whatever it may be, and you need to be able to know exactly how to put that in your MyFitnessPal under cooked beef 93.7. And so tracking it correctly is a really big problem I see as well. Along with that is like adding like these little additional things throughout your day as well that you actually don't track in your MyFitnessPal but start to add up over time. Like, for instance, like some people don't track coffee creamer or certain sauces that do have calories and do have certain amount of fats, protein in it, or even carbs in it as well. And these miscellaneous things that people don't think are very big actually end up being very big, right? So we, even within our program, some of the feedback, and this happened like recently with one of our clients, is that when they started tracking macronutrients correctly and started understanding and knowing how to track macronutrients, one of them went out to a steakhouse and had a big salad, and he was like, I never realized that these salads at this steakhouse had 45 grams of fat in it, right? And like obviously, like for the normal person, like eating a salad seems relatively healthy, but like once you start to understand like protein, carbs, and fats, how to track food correctly, you really start to realize all the things in today's society, in today's industry, within the overall health and food industry, how many different things are in different foods. And it's now more imperative than ever to really understand macronutrients, to specifically, what you need and what certain macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats are within certain foods. Because with today's industry as well, like obviously within the last 20 years, the food industry has gotten significantly worse with, higher carbohydrate meals, like higher fats, and the American diet is relatively high in fats as well. And so now more than ever, it is imperative that people understand nutrition at a very high level, because as you get older and you have kids, obviously your kids are going to learn the exact nutritional information that you know, and you don't want to be passing the information that you do not know down to your children as well. For instance, if you're somebody who like maybe is self-conscious about the way you look, or doesn't want to take your shirt off at the beach or at the pool or whatever it may be, the way that you feel will actually trickle down to your kids, because a lot of people think that obesity is genetic, but obesity is inherited, right? The obesity is inherited by the people that brought you up and the actual nutritional knowledge that those people know. And with fat like distribution in general, right, the amount of fat you have in the body is directly inherited, but obviously the specific part of fat and the fat distribution of your body is genetic. But there's a large misconception that people have that like weight is genetic. It's not. It's inherited, about what you learn, what you know. And so now I feel like it's more imperative than ever to really understand what you need nutritionally, and understanding how to track macronutrients being a big portion of it. So next biggest thing I see is that, the all or nothing mentality. So I see a lot of guys, and a lot of guys have came to us, and a lot of guys in the industry in general that we've come across, they do these all or nothing diets where they lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, pretty quickly. And they do a crash diet where they drop their calories super low. They do a bunch of cardio. And the all or nothing mentality really puts you in a spot. First of all, if you're losing 20 pounds within a couple weeks or a month or two, you're going to reinforce yourself and positively reinforce yourself that fat loss can occur that quickly. Well, quite specifically, fat loss does not occur that quickly, right? Fat loss should occur at 0.5 to 1.5 pounds per week. So knowing that, a lot of guys who lose 20 pounds and plateau off, they get frustrated and they fall back off their diet. They don't, they go through these years of the never-ending cycle of losing the same 20, 30 pounds over and over and over again. And it's that lack of knowledge of exactly how to lose fat correctly and how to position yourself for long-term sustainability within fat loss as well. And even like with the all or nothing mentality, is that when people like go on vacation or maybe a work trip or maybe out to eat with the dinner or to dinner with the wife, one day kind of like throw it all out the window. And the next day, like the diet's over, and you're like, oh, well, I already screwed up. Now that's the end of that. You gain the 10 pounds back because one, you crashed your calories super low, you didn't put your metabolism in a correct spot, and you gain the weight back pretty quickly. So this all or nothing mentality within people like is very detrimental as well, and it's why people lose a lot of weight but never actually sustain it, because they don't actually have the balance correctly. The balance between exactly how to, one, track macronutrients and not just eat chicken and rice all the time. Our clients don't eat just chicken and rice all the time. And if you've seen some of our client testimonials, there's over 40 on my page. There's guys that are eating candy and donuts out to eat with the wives, and understanding, one, how to track macronutrients, but understanding also how to navigate vacations, work trips, traveling, nights out with the wife is really big as well, because you need to understand some certain balance. Because once you understand balance creates more consistency, right? Consistency creates more sustainability. And once you have sustainability, you can do it for a longer period of time and sustain the fat loss for a longer period of time. So there's an all or nothing mentality that goes around with people, is that, they get to this certain point where they don't enjoy the way they look enough, and they say screw it, cut their calories super low, raise their cardio super high. They end up crashing their metabolism, and then some little life event occurs, and they take a step back, and then boom, the weight's back, and they're back to square one, and then you just kind of float back into what you had been doing prior to that diet, and it's just like a kind of a never-ending cycle. So there's a correct way to lose body fat, and there's a reason why there's guys out there that you probably see on the internet that are able to sustain, a very lean physique, like myself, for instance, for, years at a time. And it's because knowing the correct balance, knowing how to navigate certain scenarios is where a lot of people go wrong within the correct education, because education does lead to consistency. And education in general is something that you can never take away from someone. That's a skill. Understanding how to be healthy and live a balanced lifestyle, enjoy your weekends, go out and drink with the buddies or whatever it may be. But there's a certain tactic and a skill to be learned. And a big part of our program is teaching guys that process, right? Because every single one of our clients, absolutely, at the end of the day, they're going to hit their goal. But what we teach them to get to their goal is long-term more important, right? Because one, navigating those certain scenarios, knowing how to navigate, work trips or whatever it may be with whatever job that you have is extremely important for longevity. Because if you don't know how to do that, and maybe you're a guy, for instance, that is super, super busy all the time, and you don't know how to navigate a busy life with the balance of a healthy life, obviously, once you do get less busy, you try, you fail, and you get busy again, and you're back to square one. With our clients, one, we teach them exactly how to have that balance, how to have, a good set of skills when work does get busy, when you do get busy. And so we can sustain it long term, because that's the biggest part of my entire program, is teaching and educating people on how nutrition works, how your body works, how to have balance between the two, and more importantly, how to sustain, a good physique long term. Because, you're a lot of guys, maybe you even listen to this right now, you've probably done, the keto, carnivore, low carb, and all these fad diets on the internet that don't really teach you anything in general. And if you don't get taught anything in general, the likelihood of you actually sustaining it obviously goes down tremendously, right? So there's a certain education that you need to be able to get to that next level physique, but not just for a period of time where you're starving yourself and you're hungry, but you like the way you look, but having, it all, right? Having the comfortability, being able to eat food, being able to, go and do miscellaneous activities within your everyday life and have good balance. So the all or nothing mentality, I think, is really big in today's society with people, why people can't keep weight off. But with that being said, if you're tired of trying and failing, trying to get to that next level physique, you're plateaued out right now, you've tried all the fad diets out there that never really give you any sustainability or education, that trainer that you see in person once a day that gives you an hour of his time, you don't see or hear from him for the next day, and you're looking for that certain set of a guidance to get you to that next level and a certain set of education to sustain it for good, there's going to be an application link down below for our personal program and for my program. And the the hundreds of guys that we currently work with to getting them to that next level physique. We have a community of amazing gentlemen that help each other out, and we provide not only the guidance, but the clarity, and also making sure that questions are answered accordingly on a 24/7 basis to allow our clients to learn, to be educated, and to, sustain, a lean physique long term. So you don't want to be that, beard belly dad when you get older as your kids grow up, where you don't want to take your shirt off at the beach, you don't want to take your shirt off at the pool, and you don't want to, take wedding photos, at your best friend's wedding because you don't enjoy the way your photos look. Now's the chance. Like, one, we do, work with a specific set of people. We don't qualify everybody. And like, for instance, we just, disapproved 3 people just last week. But if you're somebody who is interested and you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and want to feel like you did in your 20s, but actually sustain it for the rest of your life, sign up down below. I encourage you, because we will get you to the best physique you've ever had. We'll teach you the knowledge and the guidance how to sustain it for the rest of your life, and how to give this knowledge to your wife, to your kids, and so you and the rest of your family can benefit from a healthy, balanced lifestyle. So that application link will be down below, but I'll see you guys next time. Make sure to subscribe to my channel, because I'm going to be pumping out all the information on exactly how to get you guys to that next level physique.